like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved. I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause.
Good morning and welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. I am Mark Nudelberg, excited to be here with you today on this Wednesday. Across the screen from me, Lori, introduce yourself.
Lori Salarulo, CEO of Junior Achievement of South Florida. Happy to be here.
And down in the bottom corner, as always, making it all happen, Shay, go ahead.
Shay Money, making it happen.
Shay Money, making it happen. And Shay, I know you are on site right now getting ready to do the presentation for Amarant, as we do every other Wednesday for them, as we are modernizing their business development and helping their leaders and biz dev people do great stuff. So that's awesome. Let's get caught up. There's some crazy things going on in the world right now. For those of you who have seen maybe the most wild news of all the news, Joey Chestnut banned from the hot dog eating contest.
As soon as I saw that this morning, I called Mike. He was already gone. And I said, oh my God, are you going to make it through July 4th? And he goes, why? What's the matter? Joey Chestnut got banned. And he goes, oh my God. He goes, I don't know. I might not have to eat hot dogs again.
Just an absolutely mind-blowing turn of events where Joey Chestnut, for I don't know, maybe the first time in 2 decades, is not going to partake in this event. Because, Lori, do you know why?
Yes, I do. Because he signed with a plant-based company.
He signed with Impossible Meats.
Right.
He signed an endorsement deal.
He signed for about $100,000 more a year. So he was getting $300,000 a year from the hot dog company, right? The meat, and signed for $1.2 million over 3 years. So at the end of the day, in 3 years, that's $300,000. I don't blame him, I guess, but I don't know. There's some principle in here, I think.
I would assume that it's not strictly about the increase in dollar amount. I'm sure that there is maybe some shares involved, maybe there's some equity involved, maybe there's some lifetime, I'm sure that there's something else in the deal, because this is his event. This is the thing that he trains for, and the thing that he, if you consider him an athlete, this is his Super Bowl. So for him to be willing to walk away from the event that has made him famous and has built his career is wild. And to go to a fake hot dog company, which is hilarious.
Well, and I wonder in the long term if it was the right thing, because think about it. He can no longer compete, right? So how long is his title, right, going to bring in money, right, or endorsements? So I think he kind of cut things short a little bit. But maybe there was another reason that we don't know. I don't know.
So, Jonathan Aarons says, talk about a way to tank ratings, which is hilarious. And then you even have Melissa Graves, who says he has health issues from eating all those hot dogs.
It's not just a hot dog. He eats competition for everything. So
right.
That's
so
what I said. It could have been other things.
I agree with you, Lori. Like, what will happen to him now that he's not going to partake in the event, right? Like, first of all,
but maybe they're going to create a plant-based hot dog contest.
Which that just made my stomach turn. The idea of eating like 50 tofu dogs sounds absolutely terrible. Some other news. So if you were with us on Monday, there was this story about the most American story of all time, the bull running around the ring and jumping out of the ring. There's follow-up to be done here. Shay, play me the video.
Oh my frick. Oh shit. Holy shit.
So apologies for the language for those of you that were offended by it. But so that is
Earmuffs.
that's the aftermath of the bull jumping out of the ring. Was then it's just running rampant through the stands and mowing people down. My only question here is, how are those people just standing around in their circle? What conversation are they having that they're so locked in to the conversation that they don't notice a bull charging at them
As
before
your
they
dad would say,
absolutely get thrown around?
situational awareness. Situational awareness.
Oh my lord! Like, how did, like, is there not an announcement that's happening to the entire place? Like, guys, the bull is free. The bull has jumped out. The bull is loose. Find safe ground. Like, unbelievable to me that this happened.
Well, and then you see the other people. Nobody's like running out of there. They're
Right,
watching.
right.
They're in the stands watching. Like, get the fuck out of there! What are you, crazy?
Oh my god, the things that are happening. And just a couple of the things. A shout out to Joy and Jacqueline from Jewel Tone Interiors yesterday. We had a wonderful meeting with them at their office. They continue to set the bar so high for customer experience and for just the way that they treat people when they enter into their environment. The station was set up with pens and notepads. There was personalization for all of us. Our food, because it was a lunch meeting, our food was sitting in our seats, ready to be eaten and hot. Like, just an unbelievable job and a great conversation. And I think this will carry a little bit of our conversation this morning. We talked about how do we create more thinkers, right? Like, doing business with other people and trying to find the right people for your own organization. It's hard to find thinkers. It's hard to find people that will think critically and think outside the box and truly spend time dissecting what's happening in the business, getting to know the business in order to come up with good ideas. So what do you think about that, Lori?
Oh, we talk about it all the time. At our executive level, and we think about, as we're thinking about how to grow people, it is probably the number one thing that comes up is, but the person is not thinking, problem solving, critical thinking, right?
Right.
You can call it whatever you want, but they tend to come in and want you to solve the problem. And if you want to be at this next level, you gotta figure it out. You gotta at least try to figure it out. And we say that all the time. How do we get people to think?
And it's so I think part of my answer to that, I think, is you have to create the ownership, right?
Mhm.
Like, you got to incentivize it, right? Like, and we're going to talk about this, I think, in the next part after we go to Wake Up Music and everything, which is the CEO pay gap. How do you incentivize people to do it, right? I think part of the problem is when you get hired as an employee, you think you get hired into a system, and now it's my job to do what you want me to do, right? Which is part of the agreement is, yeah, we have an expectation of what you're going to do, but part of that expectation has to also be you're going to break the boundaries. You're going to figure it out. You're going to take responsibility. You're going to take ownership. You're going to be what we like to call an intrapreneur, which I know Melissa Graves is here. Melissa Graves is a great example of what an intrapreneur is. She's moving up from director of customer relations to, VP of operations or assistant VP of operations. And she's just not asking for permission. She's asking for forgiveness. If she steps over a boundary, she'd rather say, "Oh, I'm sorry that I wasn't supposed to go there," rather than asking for permission to do all the things that she's trying to do.
So is that something that's inbred in you, right? Like, is that who Melissa is? That's who I am, right?
It's
I've
part of
been
her
that way
DNA for
since
sure.
I'm in my
1000%.
20s when they threw me into projects and I didn't know, right? I had to figure it out. That's just who I was. That's who I am. It's gotten stronger, obviously.
And I think Melissa would probably back me up on this, that we've cultivated that behavior in her, though. That was not a behavior that existed from her prior to us working together, in a very small sense. But now she's moving out of what her sandbox was and we're pushing her boundaries on what she's able to do, which I don't think that comes without the cultivation, without the, either coaching or the incentivization or any of the behaviors that help promote that behavior from people. So we're getting way into the show. Let's get to wake up music. Then we'll come back and do our affirmation. Then we'll continue the conversation.
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up. Come on, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Come on.
And Guy, I don't know that the affirmation could be any better for today. Shay, pop it up, and Laura, you read it.
Absolutely. I will figure it out. I can critically think, and I have the ability to find or create solutions to the problems around me. I will not allow fear to keep me still. I will take action to solve the things that need to be fixed.
Oh man, if that's not just a slam dunk from the conversation that we were just having, that's it. That's all it takes is for you to tell that to yourself, believe that, and then just go take action on it. Go figure it out. Because if your paycheck was riding on you figuring it out, you'd probably figure it out. Right?
Yeah, and I think, I don't disagree with you that people need to be incentivized to some extent. But I do think it's a little bit sad that we have to incentivize people to think.
What's interesting is, and Melissa said right here, I've been empowered, encouraged, and coached to take those actions now. It was in me, but now I have less hesitation to do it. I would bet that the majority of people are just hesitating on it. It's not that they're not doing it. It's that they don't think it's their place. Like, I think, Carrie says, what's really sad is a lot of companies don't want thinkers. I don't know that that's true. I think that's maybe something that we tell ourselves because we're unsure of what our boundaries are. We're unsure of what the expectation is, or we're unsure of what the reaction will be if we step out of line. And I think that keeps us from doing it. I think it's almost.
I think she's probably right. There probably are some companies that have that culture of, just do your job kind of thing. I'm sure there are still managers and leaders out there that are like that, right? I think we're seeing less and less of that as we evolve. But I do think that that's probably still out there at times. So, and that's not the right place for you then if you want to think.
So let's have this conversation about leaders then, right? Like you sent this over, like my dad says CYA. I love Aiden Nomans from YouTube says the majority are cowards. That like it's a harsh way to say it, but I don't necessarily disagree with it. You do have to have the courage to try. You do have to have the courage to step out of that boundary and be okay with what happens after it, right? Like, are you going to get fired? Probably not unless you absolutely drastically ruin something or create such a problem that you can't come back from it. But more than likely, if they didn't want you to do that, they're going to say, hey, we'd rather you not. And you say, oh, okay, good. Now I know. Right. And I'll stay in my box then. And that's also probably a major red flag that it's an organization that you don't want to be a part of.
Yeah.
But let's get to
Melissa's point.
Yeah.
If an organization and the leaders are empowering and encouraging and coaching, and you're still not thinking, there's a problem.
It's a problem.
Right?
1,000%. 1,000%. Right. Like at some point you always have to take responsibility for you first. And you can point the fingers every which way that you want to point them. Eventually it comes back to you, because even if you are in an environment where it's not encouraged and it's not coached, I did it anyway. Now I dealt with the consequences of that getting me fired, but I would have rather done that and known that I was doing everything in my power to help save the organization, rather than sit on my hands and go, well, I'm just going to watch the ship go down. Who wants to be? It doesn't make me feel good as an individual. And so while the consequences were still the consequences, at least I got to do what I thought was right. And I was taking responsibility for myself and my behaviors first.
Right. Yep. Great.
So let's talk about taking responsibility then. So CNN put out a report today, which was a write-up on this research project from Gallup that said 66% of Americans give companies a failing grade for CEO pay. Now that's clickbait, right? Like that headline doesn't necessarily tell you what they're talking about in the article. The article is talking about the pay gap, not right. CEO pay in general, but the gap that that exists in a lot of Fortune 500 companies and most of the large organizations in the world between the CEO and everybody else. And that's really what it was addressing, was the majority of Americans, 2/3 of Americans, think that the way we're paying CEOs in comparison to the rest of the leaders / employees of the organization is not acceptable. What do you think, Lori?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I said this earlier. This is not the case in small organizations, right? Like ours, right? Or in the nonprofit world in most cases at all, even at the national level. But in these big corporations, the gap is sometimes, 500 to 1,000 times, right? The salary or the benefits, right? The package. I think it's a bit overdone.
So I would agree with you, right? Like Tesla is voting on a $40 billion payout to Elon Musk, right? Like what?
Right.
What?
No one person builds or maintains, right, an organization or grows an organization by themselves.
So what would be maybe a possible solution to this? How do we avoid the gap? What do we do? And before you answer that, we're actually going to go to morning motivational music so we make sure that we get it in. And today's motivational music is an inspiration from what's coming up this weekend. Justin Timberlake will be here in Miami. Gabby and I are going. We have floor seats. Excited about that. Turns out I will be there with a bunch of also Gabby's friends that we were with last weekend, and apparently the only husband that's going. So awesome. I'm in for a girls' night, and I'm in for a great Justin Timberlake show. And so we've got a mashup, one of my favorite bits that happens on Jimmy Fallon's show. So go ahead and give us Justin Timberlake, and then we'll be back.
Hey. 1, 2, 3, go.
They saw what I saw. They would fall the way I felt, but they don't know what you want. And baby, I would never tell, but they know what I know. They would never let you go. But guess what? I ain't never letting you go. If I get jealous, I can't help it. I want everything. I guess I'm selfish.
2, 3, go.
It feels like so pretty enough. Can I leave with you?
I don't know what I'm thinking about being with you.
I'm bringing sexy back.
Yeah.
The mother boys don't know how to act.
Yeah. Take it to the chorus.
Go ahead, be gone with it. Go ahead, be gone with it. Go ahead, be gone with it.
All I want you to do is be my love.
So don't give away.
My love,
So don't give away.
my love.
So don't give away.
So I love that skit that they do on his show. It's amazing. They bring in unbelievable artists and they use nothing but preschool toys to make the music and mash up the artist songs. So excited to go see that. And I saw Susie's comment. Susie said she can fill in for me if I would like to have that, but no, I think I'm going to go and I'm looking forward to enjoying it. Yeah, Carrie said, I just enjoy the Roots and their mashups. They do an unbelievable job of creating music on that show. So back to the question. How do we avoid this then? What's the answer? We can't just pay everybody more money, or maybe we can if there's that much money to be had inside of the organization. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you in the CEO seat of Tesla, right? You guys are doing amazing. You guys are selling a ton of cars. You're due for a $40 billion payout. You don't think that it's right that you accept that. What would your answer be? How would you restructure? What would you do with that, and how would you change it?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can look at the CEO salary in a silo, right? So I think, and I know we do this, right, and we're on a much smaller scale, but we look at all of the salaries and we look at where they are percentage wise in the scale that we have, the market study. But then we also look at the difference between the different levels, not just CEO to the next level,
Sure.
but the next level to the director level to the right. So we look at all of that at the same time. And we're very dedicated to not creating that kind of gap and making sure that there isn't, right, a 500% gap between me and the next level. So I think one of the things you can do is really look at everyone at the same time, because if you're just looking at the one, you don't know, right, where it compares. So that's number one. Number two, if you're going to increase the CEO because you had a stellar year, well, then increase everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Do increases at the same time. So when you're announcing that big CEO increase, you're also giving everybody else their increase, right? So that they're happy. And you can.
Is it, so my question to you is it equal then? Is everybody's pay increase equal?
Well, it depends. No, I don't believe there should be equal. I believe it's based on performance. Okay.
Fair, not equal.
Right. Right. Yeah. I always believe that raises and bonuses should be performance based. Yeah. That's just me. Okay. Yep. Now, I do think there's if someone is performing and doing their job, they may not be, right, a 10 out of 10. There's the cost of living, and yes, they should get that increase. But if they're way overperforming and exceeding their goals, right, they should be compensated for that above and beyond. So I'm a performance-based person.
This is where I believe that, look, the only win that you're going to get in business is either net profits or the final sale of the business, right? Those are the two wins in terms of operating inside. There's lots of other things you can celebrate. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's the only way you win, but in terms of final outcomes for the business, it's either net profits at the end of the fiscal year or it's the sale of the business when it happens. And I'm a firm believer that when those things happen, everybody in the organization should take part in it. Just like if those things don't happen, everybody in the organization should take part in it. Everybody should feel that pain, and everybody should know what the outcome was and be tied into the scoreboard together. Now, doesn't mean it has to be equal, right? If there are performers, if there are people, if there was a significant impact in your business because of a specific project, why wouldn't the people who were involved in that project feel more of the benefit than everybody else on the organization? So I agree that it's not equal, it's fair. And as long as that's the way that you're doing it, that's how you create a team. That's how you create a family. That's how all the things that you want to cultivate inside of your organization. That's how you get there, is by doing things like that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing that it would probably come from the board. The boards can also cap.
Right.
Right. You can place a cap on it. But I think, but I said this to you earlier. I also think that it's okay to have a gap. I feel ultimately responsible. At the end of the day, if JA is not doing well, it's going to be my head on the chopping block. Now, I don't disagree that somebody else might come in and somebody else, right, might not make the team with the new CEO. But I'm definitely out if things don't go well, right?
Yep.
They still got a chance to survive the cut.
It's true.
So at the end of the day, you are the one taking ultimate responsibility. So I do believe that there's always going to be a gap, and there should be.
Correct.
And maybe
I
I
don't
say that
disagree
because
with
I'm in
that.
this position, but I think I can be fairly objective. I just think it's when
And
the gap is so ridiculously big.
And I think that's what's important, that when you look at that Gallup study, was that's what they're saying, is not that there shouldn't be a difference, but that the gap shouldn't exist the way that it does. The gap is getting exceedingly drastic, and there's no way that that can be good for either the business or the people or the overall good. So great
Right.
conversation, Lori. Thank you for bringing up such a wonderful topic. I will be back tomorrow with Jake for our regularly scheduled, and I'm sure we'll have lots of sports to talk about because you'll have game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight, and then we'll be preparing for game 3 of the Cats tomorrow night. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.
And the Caitlin Clark conversation didn't make it, so I don't know if you're going to.
And we didn't get to the Caitlin Clark, and we're going to have Roger Federer on the show tomorrow. We're going to talk Caitlin Clark probably tomorrow. So I love all of that. You guys have a great rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow. Let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.